I'm astounded by the hundreds of open recommendations that you mentioned. Are they overlapping? I can't conceive of that. I'm even reluctant to ask you to supplement the record by sending them all to us.
We've been reporting on cybersecurity as a high-risk issue for a number of years. So they span a decade, 11, 12 years of work right now. They focus in on 4 major challenges that the federal government faces, which are developing a comprehensive cyber strategy, securing federal systems and information, protecting cyber critical infrastructure, what we're talking about today, and protecting privacy and sensitive data. So those are the 4 major challenges for cybersecurity that GAO has reported on.
Okay, well, let's talk about the May directive, security directive, done just a month or 2 ago this year. And then a second security directive on July 20th, just a day or 2 ago. This was done without traditional rulemaking process, such as notice and comment. Ms. Gordon, and then we can go back this way, is that a problem at all? What observations do you have about that shortcut? Was it necessary? And what advice can you give us?
TSA has the authority to regulate in this space. TSA has the authority to regulate transportation modes. So they were well within their authorities to issue the May directive. And it was a step towards gathering additional information that the agency may need about the status of and the security of the pipelines.
Do you think stakeholders' viewpoints were heard during this necessarily hurried up process?
I have no way to know that.
Anybody else want to comment?
Yes, Senator, the stakeholder concerns were heard throughout the entire process. I would suggest that the security director process actually enables the flexibility and the agility, Chair Cantwell, that you talked about. To go through a rulemaking process is a lengthy process. Security directives can be implemented immediately, and then once a security directive is implemented with that coordination in advance, it doesn't mean that industry had all of the things that they wanted or wanted out of a security directive, but we considered their input. We issue it, and then we have a procedure within the security directive regime that allows an affected industry partner to say, hey, I see your requirement here. I see what security outcome you're trying to achieve. I've got a better way to do that. And that also keeps us on the leading edge of cybersecurity. And so the industry representative will submit that alternative procedure to us. We will rapidly review it and provide them an answer back. So there is a lot of flexibility and speed built into the security directive process. Additionally, the security directives are traditionally, when they're first issued, oftentimes issued for a year. They can be renewed in increments following that, or we can follow another process to actually go through a formal notice and comment rulemaking. We haven't determined what the path ahead is for that in the longer term, but I just look at Colonial. I don't think anybody could have acted faster than we did with our security directive authority. And given that the requirements we placed on the industry were consistent with NIST cybersecurity framework requirements and consistent with our pipeline security guidelines, which the industry helped us build, there really weren't a lot of surprises in my view there. It's just the scope and the speed. Finally, I would submit that speed is really important here. Senator,
let me just interject, and perhaps you can supplement that answer. I agree with you. I think government should be nimble in situations like this, and I know there's been a frustration on this side of the dais that government's quite often slow and creaky. So I commend you for that. Let me just ask: does anybody want to comment about the possibility of condemning China for cyber attacks, but not imposing sanctions to actually impose consequences on China. Would someone like to comment on that?
I would just offer that, this is a long-term process, and imposing sanctions on a foreign power is not something as an agency administrator that I would have independent authority to do, but certainly in the National Security Council process, irregardless of administration, that is where those issues are fully vetted and with robust participation from the affected agencies.
Do you have an idea of individual officials in China that we could point to as being offenders in this regard?
I do not have that information, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it, Madam Chair.
Yes,